guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kate and I have been making some budgeting videos lately with the cash envelope system. So today I thought I would just sit down and show you guys how I make my cash envelopes. I just started making them last weekend. I just wanted to test it out and see if I could make them. So I bought all of the supplies and there really wasn't that much that I had to purchase. It didn't cost that much. So I'm going to go through and show you guys the supplies that I use and how I make them. I'll just walk you through step by step. I'm going to switch it to a desk view of just looking at my desk while I'm making them, but I wanted to at least show my face first so you know who you guys are listening to. I just opened up my Etsy shop, so I'm going to show you guys all of the different patterns that I have, and I'll show you the different paper that I like to use. But let's get into it and start making envelopes. First, I'm just going to show you guys the tools that I use to make these, and you really don't need that much. You just need a laminator, and this is just the Amazon Basics laminator. And it was only, I want to say like $21 or $23, I can't remember exactly, but I'll have that linked in the description below, as well as all the rest of these supplies. And then I also got this Amazon Basics laminating sheets, or laminating pockets, and there are 100 in here and they were $10. So that's a really good deal because you can make 3 envelopes per pocket, so that's 300 envelopes you can make out of one pack of these for $10. And also, this cutting board is what I use. You don't have to use this specific cutting board, but this is the one that I had on hand and it works really well. So I'm going to link this down in the description below, but it works really well because it has this little arm that you can put down, and I'll show you how it works. The laminator we're not going to need for a little while here. And also, you need a clear ruler. You can use any ruler, but the clear one is what works best for when you're measuring, so you can see the paper underneath. And lastly, you of course need the paper that you're going to make the envelopes out of. And I suggest not getting the thicker paper. I learned from my mistakes because I also got the thicker paper. I'll show you the kind of paper I got. So I also got this paper, and some people do make the envelopes out of this paper, but it just was not working for me because when I was using my cutting board, I don't know if the blade's not sharp enough for this paper or what, but once the lamination pocket is over it and then I try to use the cutting board with this, it just was giving me a hard time. I did make a few envelopes out of this and I love the paper. It's some watercolor prints. They're really pretty, but it was just giving me too much of a hassle. So I made one set for my sister, and then I decided that I'm going to use this paper for my shop. So I have some really cute designs that I will show you guys just so you can see what kind of designs I made out of this paper. I'm going to move this stuff. So I'll link my shop in the description below, but my shop is called KateBudgets, and this is one of my sets here. Then I have this mermaid set. I love floral prints, so I tried to do a lot of floral, but these all came in the same book that I just showed you, and I just got the paper from Michael's, and it's scrapbooking paper, but it's just thinner, so it works really well for making envelopes. But I have this blue floral set, it's called, on my shop, and it has a really pretty marble one, and then it has a really pretty blue flower one, so there's those. But first, I'm going to show you guys how I start out, and I'll make a full set on today's video so you guys can kind of see how you make a full set. So let's start out with picking out the paper that we're going to use. So I decided we're going to go with the watermelon set, and I'm going to show you guys what the finished product is going to look like, and then what the paper looks like. So this is what the finished product is going to be. And also, I forgot I threw in this little plant one, so I'll have to get one of those. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so you take the paper, and these pieces of paper are 12 by 12. So they're a perfect square, and we're just going to measure them. And this is why I like the clear ruler, because when you're measuring, here, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. When you're measuring, you can see through the ruler right under the paper, so you get the perfect line. And you want to use a pencil because you don't want to make marks that you can't erase, because you're going to erase these after you cut. So we're just going to start out by measuring 7 inches across on the top. And my envelopes that I make are 7 by 3. So we're gonna do 7 inches. And then we're going to do 6 inches. On the side. And then we'll do 7 inches here. So essentially this piece here on this side, you're going to be cutting off and not using, and you're just gonna split this into 2 and make 2 envelopes out of 1 sheet of paper. Some people do take these scrap pieces and they can make one little half of an envelope and another half of it out of another one. I haven't yet done that, but I'm sure it would be fine. But for today, I'm not going to do that. So now that I have this all measured, I'm getting out my cutting board here. And this particular cutting board does have a measuring tape along the top. So if you want one to measure, instead of having to use the ruler, you could use this. But I like to do both just to double check myself and make sure that they're perfectly accurate and aligned. So you can see where the blade is going to go on the board by just looking at this little line here. And then when you're ready, you just put this little flap down. And then you put this flap down. And you start the blade at either end. And then you just push down and cut across. So then this piece is the one that we're not going to use, so I'll set that to the side and figure out something to do with that later. But then while I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to erase the little pencil marks so that those don't end up on the final product, the envelope. So we'll erase those. And now we just flip it around and we're going to cut where the 6 inches mark was. And then I just slice that, and now it's in the perfect 2 pieces. So we can do that to all of these, and then we'll just stack them up and make a pile, and then I'll show you what the next step is. Now that they're all measured, I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut all of them and then put them in a pile. So move this over. And you can cut multiple of these at a time. I actually might do that. I'll do 2 and 2. I've cut up to 3 at a time and it works really great actually. So I would suggest that, but you have to make sure you line them up perfectly. So we did that way. And now I'm just stacking them again, and I'll make sure that they're perfectly lined up before I run this blade. It's kind of hard to film and try to talk at the same time when you're trying to concentrate. So I hope I'm doing a good enough job of that. So the next step is that I'm going to go through this whole stack, and you just are going to fold them lengthwise. Make sure that you're folding them the right way, 7 inches this way, and then 3 inches this way, because I have messed a couple up by folding them this way, because you don't realize it at first, but then obviously it's not going to fit a dollar bill. So I'm just going to do this, and I have to get right up and make sure that the corners are touching perfectly, because even, I'm sorry, my hair keeps getting in this, even if they're a little bit off, that is going to just mess everything up. So then you just crease it, and then flip it over and make sure that both sides look like they're matching perfectly. And this one does, so that one's good. And we're just gonna go that through and do that to the rest of them. This paper being thinner is a lot easier to fold and also a lot easier to cut. So it's really nice and it's really easy once you get the hang of it. I said I was not going to continue making these like the first, I don't know, 4 batches that I did, but now that I have the hang of it, what in the world happened to this one? Oh. Okay, this one is just, I don't like this one, but we only did that sheet so that way we could have this piece. So hopefully this one works out. Oh, whoops. Oh no, I cut this one the wrong way. Let's see. Darn it. I wanted to cut it this way so that I could fold it, and on one side it would be this pattern, but I totally cut it the wrong way. So now it's this pattern, so it's not gonna work out. It's fine, there's more of that paper, we just won't be able to do as many sets. So I folded all of these, and now we're going to get the laminator warming up and get them in the pouches. So I got the laminator turned on, it's warming up. When this ready light turns green, it will be ready to use, but right now the on light is still red. And then there's a little switch in the back, and it has a 3mm side and then a 5mm side, and I have it flipped to the 3mm side because we're just using the thinner paper in the 3mm laminating sheets. So the 3mm is what we need, but make sure you check what kind of paper you're using before you just use 3mm, because you might need the thicker kind. And then how it's gonna work, I'll show you as soon as that warms up, but we're gonna get the pouches ready. Okay, so I have one of the clear little laminating pouches here. They open up and they are connected on one side up at the top. So make sure your surface is clean because you don't want anything to stick to it. You want to remember what sides are open so that you can cut across the open side, make an opening here. The other side you're going to leave a seal, so you're going to leave a little space before you cut it, so that way the lamination doesn't separate and you can use it as an envelope. But you want to remember that the top is the one that you want to cut open. So we're going to face all the open sides of the envelopes towards the middle, and that's how I remember which way to cut them. So you have to leave a little space, and it tells you in the directions how much space to leave. I just kind of tested it out and I figured out how much space to leave, but just a little bit at the top there. And then we're gonna face, so this one opens this way, and we're gonna face it right towards the middle. So all the openings will be in the middle, and you won't have any trouble remembering which one opened where. The green light just popped on. It only took like 3 minutes to warm up, so that wasn't long at all. So we have all of them facing towards each other, and then we'll get all of them ready before we start. So the next laminating pouch. So now that our pouches are all packed and ready, we're gonna send them through the laminator. I'm gonna send the first one through, and you have to put the closed end through first. So I'm sending the closed end through, and you just slide it right through. Make sure there's equal space on each side, and it's taking it right in. And I just kind of guide it through because I don't want to take a chance of these envelopes slipping out, but I really don't think they would. It kind of like has static and it binds them together. So it's coming out nice and sealed. And we'll get the next one ready to go in. And when these pouches come out, they are hot, so you just have to let them cool off. Done, and we'll put this laminator away. Now I'm going to cut all of these apart, so I like to start by doing all of the openings just so I don't forget which ones I'm supposed to cut open. And now you can't use the top of this to line it up because when you put them in, they're not perfectly straight, so you have to make sure that you're lining them up perfectly straight, and you're just cutting a tiny bit off of the opening, unless, I mean, you want them to be shorter, but I'm only wanting to cut off a really tiny bit. So this is the part where I have messed up the most envelopes, because when you start cutting, sometimes this will move. This laminate pouch will move, so you have to really hold down tight on it. And I always stand up. I can't sit down or else I don't have enough force to push it through. Whew, okay. That's always the most nerve-wracking part, is cutting these strips that help hold the openings. And again, all the openings are facing each other, so I always know what side I need to cut open and what sides need to stay together. When you're trimming the sides, you have to leave a little space between, I don't know if you can see here, but there's a tiny seal, like a little edge that's sealed. So if you cut into that and expose the envelope, it will not stay sealed. So you have to leave a gap between where it's sealed and where you're cutting. So that way the envelope stays sealed and doesn't get worn on the bottom. And it's kind of the hardest, in my opinion, is cutting them. So this one's done. I just cut this, and let's see. I just cut this and it looks pretty good. The moment of truth is when you get all of them cut and you stack them to see if they line up perfectly. They don't always line up exactly perfectly because they are handmade, so it's fine. They're still completely functional even if they don't line up perfectly, but it just drives me nuts when they don't line up perfectly. So I try to make them line up as best as I can. now that I finished cutting all of those, I cut it a little short because I didn't think you guys probably wanted to see me cut the last 4. But after cutting all of those, we now have 2 sets. Let's see. And the sets vary. They're actually 2 sets of 4, and then I have 1 extra because the other one didn't really turn out. But I can just go back and make a couple extra to add to these sets, or I can keep them smaller and just make them 2 smaller sets. But they do vary a little bit just because the paper changes from pattern to pattern. So like this one has more dots on it than this one, and then the fronts and backs are a little different. But I just make sure to picture that in my shop and try to show the variances. They're really cute. I think the patterns are really cute. So they turned out. And then you can also put little labels on them and label them like groceries, spending money, whatever you want to put on them, so that you know which one is for which. And that's how you make these envelopes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to our channel if you'd like to follow along with my cash envelope journey and just see some other fun videos that I post on my channel. And don't forget to check out my Etsy shop if you want to order some of my envelopes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.